The Alien Encounter, a tale of survival and discovery. Chapter 1, The Fateful Mission. Captain Aria Novak had always dreamed of exploring the cosmos. As a child, she would spend hours gazing at the stars, imagining the wonders that lay beyond Earth's atmosphere. Now, at 35 years old, she found herself living that dream as the commander of the interstellar vessel Horizon, embarking on humanity's most ambitious space exploration mission to date. The Horizon's mission was to investigate a newly discovered exoplanet in the Proxima Centauri system, dubbed Proxima b. Early observations had suggested that this planet might harbor conditions suitable for life, and Aria's team was tasked with conducting the first close-range study of the mysterious world. As the Horizon approached Proxima b after its long journey, excitement coursed through the crew. They were about to make history, to be the first humans to set foot on an alien world beyond our solar system. Aria felt a mix of anticipation and nervousness as she gazed out at the approaching planet through the ship's view screen. "Captain, we're entering the planet's upper atmosphere," announced Dr. Elias Chun, the mission's lead scientist. "All systems are functioning normally." Aria nodded, her eyes fixed on the swirling clouds below. "Proceed with caution, Dr. Chun. Let's take it nice and slow." But as they descended further into Proxima b's atmosphere, something unexpected happened. The ship began to shudder violently, alarms blaring throughout the vessel. "Captain," shouted Lieutenant Sarah Reeves from her station, "we're experiencing some kind of electromagnetic interference. It's affecting our navigation systems." Aria's heart raced as she tried to maintain control of the situation. "Reroute power to the shields and stabilizers. We need to." Her words were cut short as a massive surge of energy engulfed the Horizon. The ship lurched sideways, spinning out of control as it plummeted towards the planet's surface. "Brace for impact," Aria yelled, gripping her seat tightly. The last thing she remembered was the deafening roar of the ship tearing through the atmosphere and the sickening crunch of metal as they struck the ground. Chapter 2. Awakening on an Alien World. Consciousness returned to Aria slowly, accompanied by a throbbing pain in her head and a ringing in her ears. She blinked, trying to focus her vision in the dim light. As her senses gradually sharpened, she became aware of her surroundings. The Horizon's command center was a wreck. Sparks flew from damaged consoles, and the acrid smell of smoke filled the air. Aria unbuckled herself from her seat, wincing at the pain that shot through her body. "Is everyone all right?" she called out, her voice hoarse. Groans and weak responses came from around the room. Aria breathed a sigh of relief. At least some of her crew had survived the crash. As she helped her fellow crew members to their feet, Aria took stock of their situation. The ship was clearly beyond repair, its hull breached in multiple places. They would need to find a way to survive on this alien world until rescue could arrive, if it ever did. "Dr. Chun, what's the status of our communication systems?" Aria asked. The scientist shook his head grimly. "The crash fried our long-range transmitters, Captain. We have no way of contacting Earth or the relay stations." Aria's heart sank, but she knew she had to stay strong for her crew. "All right, our priority now is survival. Let's gather whatever supplies and equipment we can salvage. We need to assess the environment outside and find shelter." As the crew worked to gather their resources, Aria approached the damaged airlock. With a deep breath, she activated the emergency release, and the door slowly creaked open. The alien world that greeted them was both breathtaking and terrifying. Twin suns hung low in a purple sky, casting an eerie light over a landscape of towering crystalline structures and swirling mists. The air was thick and humid, filled with unfamiliar scents. Aria stepped out onto the alien soil, her heart pounding. They had come here to study this world, but now they were stranded on it, at the mercy of its unknown dangers and potential wonders. "Well," she said, turning to her crew with a forced smile, "I guess our mission just got a lot more hands-on than we anticipated." Chapter 3. First Contact. As the crew of the Horizon ventured further from their crashed ship, they marveled at the alien landscape surrounding them. The crystalline structures they had observed from a distance revealed themselves to be a forest of sorts, with translucent geometric trees stretching hundreds of feet into the sky. The ground beneath their feet was covered in a spongy, moss-like substance that seemed to pulse with an inner light. "This is incredible," Dr. Chen muttered, his scientific curiosity overriding his fear. He knelt to examine the glowing moss more closely. "The biodiversity here must be unlike anything we've ever seen." Aria nodded, but her attention was focused on finding a suitable location for their base camp. They needed shelter, a source of water, and a defensible position in case this world harbored any dangerous life forms. As they pushed deeper into the crystal forest, strange sounds began to echo around them. Clicks, whistles, and low humming noises reverberated through the air, setting everyone on edge. "Captain," Lieutenant Reeves whispered, pointing to a gap between two massive crystal formations. "I think I saw something move over there." Aria squinted in the direction Reeves indicated, her hand instinctively moving to the laser pistol at her hip. For a moment, all was still. Then, without warning, a creature emerged from the shadows. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. Standing about 7 feet tall, its body was covered in iridescent scales that shifted color with every movement. 6 limbs extended from its torso, 4 arms and 2 legs, each ending in delicate, multi-jointed appendages. Its head was elongated and crowned with what looked like sensory tendrils, constantly waving and twitching. The alien's large, compound eyes fixed on the group of humans, and for a tense moment, no one moved. Aria's mind raced. This was first contact with an alien species, a moment humanity had dreamed of for centuries. But they were unprepared, stranded, and potentially seen as a threat. Slowly, carefully, Aria raised her empty hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "We mean you no harm," she said softly, knowing the creature couldn't understand her words, but hoping her tone would convey her intent. The alien tilted its head, the sensory tendrils quivering. Then, to everyone's amazement, it raised its upper set of arms in a mirror of Aria's gesture. Dr. Chen gasped. "It's mimicking you, Captain. This could be a sign of intelligence, of an attempt to communicate." Encouraged by this response, Aria took a small step forward. The alien remained still, its compound eyes fixed on her. Slowly, she pointed to herself and said clearly, "Aria." The creature's tendrils vibrated, and a series of clicks and whistles emanated from what she assumed was its mouth. Then, to her astonishment, it produced a sound that was unmistakably an attempt at her name. "Aria." Aria smiled, her fear giving way to wonder. "Yes, that's right. Aria," she repeated, then gestured to her crew. "Friends." The alien seemed to consider this for a moment, then made a sweeping gesture with its lower arms, indicating the forest around them. A series of melodic clicks and hums followed, which Aria took to be the name of this place or perhaps their species. As this rudimentary exchange continued, more aliens emerged from the crystal forest, their iridescent scales shimmering in the purple light. Dr. Chen approached Aria, his voice low and excited. "Captain, this is unprecedented. We need to establish a more comprehensive form of communication. If we can learn their language or teach them ours." Aria nodded, her mind already racing with the possibilities. "Agreed. But we also need to remember our situation. We're stranded here, Doctor. As exciting as this is, our priority has to be survival." As if in response to her words, the first alien they had encountered made a gesture that seemed to beckon them. It pointed deeper into the forest, then back at the humans, repeating the motion several times. Aria exchanged glances with her crew. They were vulnerable, lost on an alien world. Following these creatures could lead them to safety and knowledge, or it could be walking into a trap. After a moment's hesitation, Aria made her decision. "We'll go with them," she announced. "But stay alert. We don't know what we're walking into." With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, the crew of the Horizon followed their alien guides into the depths of the crystal forest, leaving behind the wreckage of their ship and stepping into an unknown future on this strange new world. Chapter 4. The Crystal City. As they ventured deeper into the alien forest, the crystalline structures around them began to change. What had seemed like natural formations gradually revealed themselves to be the outskirts of a vast, shimmering city. The geometric trees merged into soaring spires and interconnected buildings, all pulsing with an inner light that shifted in hues of blue, purple, and green. Aria and her crew gaped in awe at the alien metropolis. It was a feat of engineering and architecture unlike anything they had ever seen, seamlessly blending with the natural environment in a way that made it difficult to discern where nature ended and civilization began. As they walked, more of the iridescent beings emerged from various structures, their compound eyes fixed curiously on the human visitors. "This is incredible," Dr. Chun whispered, his scientific mind working overtime to process everything he was seeing. Their level of technology, the symbiosis with their environment, it's far beyond anything we imagined finding here. Aria nodded, equally amazed but also acutely aware of their vulnerable position. They were deep in alien territory now, completely at the mercy of these beings whose intentions they could only guess at. The procession came to a halt in what appeared to be a central plaza. Here, the crystal structures formed a perfect circle around a pulsating pool of luminescent liquid. The alien leader, for that was clearly what this being was, approached Aria and her crew. It raised all four of its arms in a gesture that seemed both welcoming and reverent. Then, to everyone's shock, it spoke. "Welcome, sky-fallen ones," it said in a voice that was both melodious and slightly mechanical, as if filtered through some kind of translation device. "We are the Luminari, and this is our home, Crystallis." Aria's jaw dropped. You speak our language? We have been observing your world for many of your years, learning your languages and customs. We knew that one day, you would reach the stars and find us." This revelation sent a shockwave through the human crew. Gathering her composure, Aria stepped forward. "I am Captain Aria Novak of the Earth ship Horizon. We thank you for your welcome. Our mission was one of peaceful exploration, but our ship was damaged as we entered your atmosphere. We are stranded here and in need of assistance." The Luminari leader's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with understanding. "We offer you sanctuary here in Crystallis while we determine how best to aid you." Relief washed over Aria, but it was tempered with caution. "Your offer is most generous, and we are grateful. And why have you been observing Earth?" The alien's tendrils waved in a complex pattern. "Our intentions are peaceful, Captain. We are explorers and scholars, much like yourselves. We have watched your species grow and evolve, waiting for the day when you would be ready for contact. That day has come sooner than we anticipated, but perhaps it is the will of the universe that we should meet under these circumstances." Dr. Chun couldn't contain his excitement any longer. "Your civilization is amazing. The level of technology we've seen, the way you've integrated it with your natural environment. We have so much to learn from you. And we have much to learn from you as well, Dr. Chun. Your arrival marks the beginning of a new era of mutual discovery and understanding." The fear and uncertainty of their crash landing were giving way to a sense of wonder and possibility. They had not only survived but had made contact with an advanced alien civilization. The implications for humanity were staggering. They were still stranded on an alien world, dependent on the goodwill of beings they had just met. And if the Luminari had been watching Earth for years, what else did they know? What were their true motives? As the Luminari leader began to guide them towards what it called the Hall of Illumination, where they would be housed and cared for, Aria made a silent vow. She would embrace this incredible opportunity for discovery and cooperation, but she would also remain vigilant. The safety of her crew and the interests of Earth had to come first. The days that followed were a whirlwind of discovery and adaptation for Aria and her crew. The Luminari proved to be gracious hosts, providing them with comfortable quarters in the Hall of Illumination, a vast, crystalline structure that seemed to float above the city, offering breathtaking views of Crystallis. The living spaces assigned to the humans were clearly designed with their comfort in mind. suggesting that the Luminari had indeed been preparing for eventual contact. The rooms were equipped with furniture that, while alien in design, was surprisingly ergonomic for human use. The air was carefully regulated to match Earth's atmosphere, and even the lighting was adjusted to mimic the cycle of Earth days. Dr. Chun was in his element, working tirelessly alongside Luminari scientists to exchange knowledge. He spent hours in their research facilities, marveling at their advanced technology and sharing insights about Earth's scientific achievements. "Captain, the things I'm learning here, it's beyond anything we could have imagined," he reported excitedly during one of their daily briefings. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics, their mastery of energy manipulation, it's centuries ahead of our own science." Lieutenant Reeves, ever the pragmatist, raised a concern that had been nagging at all of them. "That's all well and good, Doctor, but what about getting home? Have they said anything about helping us repair the horizon or contacting Earth?" Aria nodded, acknowledging the validity of Reeves' question. "I've been discussing this with Zephyr, our Luminari liaison," she said, referring to the alien who had been assigned to facilitate their integration into Crystallis society. "They're working on a way to safely penetrate the electromagnetic field surrounding the planet to send a message to Earth. As for repairing the horizon, that's a bit more complicated." The crew listened intently as Aria explained. The Luminari had technology that could potentially repair their ship, but there were ethical considerations. The aliens were hesitant to share advanced technology that humanity might not be ready for, fearing it could be misused or disrupt Earth's natural technological evolution. "So we're stuck here?" asked Sarah, one of the younger crew members, her voice tinged with homesickness. "Not necessarily. The Luminari have proposed an alternative. They have faster-than-light travel capability, and they've offered to transport us back to Earth once they've established official first contact with our world leaders." This news was met with a mixture of relief and apprehension. The prospect of returning home was welcome, but the idea of being transported by alien technology across light years of space was daunting. As the days turned into weeks, the crew settled into a routine of sorts. They spent their time learning about Luminari culture, assisting with various scientific projects, and exploring the wonders of Crystallis under the watchful eyes of their hosts. Aria found herself increasingly fascinated by the Luminari's social structure. Their society seemed to be based on a complex system of mutual cooperation, with each individual contributing their unique skills for the benefit of the whole. No war, no poverty, no environmental destruction. Aria nodded, but she couldn't shake a nagging feeling of unease. "It does seem perfect, doesn't it? Almost too perfect." Lieutenant Reeves, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "I've been thinking the same thing, Captain. Don't get me wrong, the Luminari have been nothing but kind to us. But don't you find it odd that we've seen no signs of conflict or disagreement among them? No diversity of opinion?" It was a concern that had been growing in Aria's mind as well. For all their technological marvels and seeming benevolence, there was something almost monolithic about Luminari society. Every individual they had interacted with seemed to share the same views, the same goals, the same unshakable calm. "Perhaps their society is simply more advanced than ours," Dr. Chun suggested. "They might have evolved past the need for conflict. Or perhaps we're not seeing the whole picture," Aria countered. "We're guests here, after all. It's possible they're only showing us what they want us to see." As if on cue, their Luminari liaison, Zephyr, approached. Its iridescent scales shimmered in the fading light as it greeted them with a gesture that the humans had learned was a sign of respect. "I hope I am not interrupting," Zephyr said in its melodious voice. "I bring news that I believe will please you. Our scientists have made progress in developing a method to safely communicate through the electromagnetic field." The news was indeed welcome, but Aria couldn't help noticing a slight hesitation in Zephyr's voice. "That's wonderful news, Zephyr. Thank you. Is there something else?" The alien's sensory tendrils quivered slightly. "You are perceptive, Captain Aria. There is a matter that the Council of Elders wishes to discuss with you. It pertains to the nature of our first contact with your world." "Of course. When would the Council like to meet?" "The council will convene at the first light of tomorrow's dawn," Zephyr replied. "They request your presence, along with Dr. Chun and Lieutenant Reeves, as representatives of your mission." After Zephyr left, an air of anticipation settled over the group. Chapter 6: Secrets of Chrysalis. The council chamber was a marvel of alien architecture. Located at the heart of the Crystal City, it was a vast, circular room with walls that seemed to be made of living light. The ceiling arched high above, creating the illusion of an endless sky filled with swirling galaxies. Aria, Dr. Chun, and Lieutenant Reeves were led to the center of the chamber, where they stood before a semicircle of elevated platforms. The central figure, an elder whose scales rippled with deep purples and blues, spoke first. "Welcome, children of Earth. We are the Council of Elders, guardians of Chrysalis and keepers of our people's destiny. We have called you here to discuss matters of great importance, matters that will shape the future of both our worlds." Aria stepped forward, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "We are honored to be here, esteemed elders. We're eager to learn how we can facilitate peaceful contact between our peoples." The lead elder's compound eyes seemed to shimmer with an emotion Aria couldn't quite identify. Was it concern? Sadness? "Captain Aria Novak, before we can proceed with official first contact, there are truths you must know. Truths about our world, about your own, and about the nature of life in this vast universe." A hush fell over the chamber as the elder continued. "Chrysalis is not our original home world. We are, like you, explorers of the cosmos. But our journey began long ago, when our original planet was dying. We set out across the stars in great arcs, searching for a new home. We found this world and made it our own, adapting to its unique properties and evolving alongside it." Dr. Chun couldn't contain his curiosity. "Fascinating. But why tell us this now?" The elder's tendrils waved in a complex pattern. "Some, like us, were searching for new homes. Others were young races, just beginning to reach for the stars. And some were ancient and powerful beyond comprehension." Aria felt a chill run down her spine. She had a feeling she knew where this was going, but she wasn't sure she was ready for the implications. "Thousands of your Earth years ago, we discovered your world. It was vibrant, full of potential, but its dominant species, your ancestors, were primitive, barely beginning to form complex societies. We saw in humanity a reflection of our own past, and we made a decision that has shaped both our destinies ever since." Lieutenant Reeves stepped forward, her voice tense. "What are you saying? That you interfered with human development?" The elder's scales rippled in what might have been discomfort. "Not interfered, precisely. We guided." The implications of this revelation were staggering. Aria's mind raced, trying to process what she was hearing. "Are you saying that human civilization, our entire history, has been influenced by your actions?" "Not entirely," the elder clarified. "The achievements of humanity are your own. We merely created favorable conditions at crucial junctures. A well-placed idea here, a timely discovery there. We helped you avoid some catastrophes and guided you towards beneficial paths." Dr. Chun looked both amazed and troubled. "But why? Why take such an interest in our species?" The elder's next words sent a shockwave through the human delegation. "Because, Dr. Chun, we believe that humanity has a crucial role to play in the future of this galaxy. A role that we, despite our advanced technology, cannot fulfill. But now we face a crisis. Our long-range sensors have detected a threat approaching, a threat not just to Chrysalis or Earth, but to all life in this sector of the galaxy. We called you here not just to reveal the truth of our shared history, but to ask for your help in facing this coming darkness." And now they were being told of a threat so great that even the advanced Luminari couldn't face it alone. As the council chamber fell silent, awaiting their response, Aria knew that whatever came next would change the course of human history forever. The silence in the council chamber was palpable as Aria and her crew struggled to process the monumental revelations they had just heard. The idea that human civilization had been subtly guided by an alien race for thousands of years was difficult enough to accept, but the mention of an impending threat to the entire galaxy added a new layer of urgency to their situation. Aria took a deep breath, centering herself before addressing the council. "Esteemed elders, you've given us a lot to process." The lead elder's tendrils waved in a pattern that Aria had come to recognize as indicating grave concern. "We call them the Void Hunters." Dr. Chun leaned forward, his scientific curiosity piqued despite the ominous tone. "Void Hunters? What exactly are they?" The elder's compound eyes seemed to darken as it explained. "Unlike us, unlike you, they do not seek to create or nurture. They consume." Lieutenant Reeves, ever the tactician, asked, "How do they operate? What kind of weapons or technology do they use?" "Their technology is beyond even our comprehension," the elder replied. "But their most terrifying weapon is not physical, it is psychic. They have the ability to dominate the minds of lesser species, turning them against each other or using them as thralls." Aria felt a chill run down her spine. "And you've encountered these Void Hunters before?" "Yes. Long ago, before we found Crystallis, we witnessed the destruction of an entire sector of space by the Void Hunters. Dozens of civilizations, some far more advanced than your own, were wiped out in the span of a few of your Earth years. We barely escaped with our lives." Dr. Chun looked puzzled. "But if they're so powerful, how did you manage to evade them?" "They are vulnerable to a specific frequency of psychic energy that we Luminari can generate, but not in sufficient quantities to pose a real threat." Aria began to see where this was going. The elder's tendrils quivered in what might have been excitement. "Your species possesses a unique neurological structure that, when properly harnessed, can produce this energy in abundance. This is why we have watched over your development so carefully. We believe that humanity, in partnership with the Luminari, may be the galaxy's best hope against the Void Hunters." The implications of this were staggering. Humanity, a species that had only recently taken its first tentative steps into space, was being told that they were key to defending the galaxy against an ancient, all-consuming threat. "But we're just one ship's crew. Even if what you're saying is true, how can we possibly help against a threat of this magnitude?" The elder's next words were both thrilling and terrifying. "You, brave explorers, will be the bridge between our worlds. With your return to Earth, carrying the knowledge and technology we will provide, humanity can prepare for the coming storm. But time is short. Our long-range sensors indicate that the Void Hunters will reach this sector of space within 5 of your Earth years. They had come to Proxima B as explorers and scientists, and now they were being asked to become the saviors of galactic civilization." "If what you're saying is true," Aria said slowly, "then we have no choice but to help. But you must understand, this news will be shocking to our people. We can't simply return to Earth with tales of ancient aliens and galactic threats without proof." The lead elder nodded, its scales shimmering with approval. "We understand, Captain Novak." As Aria looked at her crew, she saw a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination in their eyes. They had come to this alien world seeking knowledge and had found a destiny beyond their wildest imaginations. "Very well," Aria said, straightening her back and facing the council with renewed resolve. "We accept this mission. Whatever it takes, we'll do our part to defend Earth and the galaxy against this threat." As Aria and her crew were led out to begin preparations for their momentous return journey, she couldn't help but wonder, how would Earth react to this news? And would humanity be ready to face the greatest challenge in its history? For Aria and her crew, the real journey was just beginning. Chapter 8: Preparations and Revelations. The days following the council meeting were a whirlwind of activity. Aria and her crew found themselves at the center of intense preparations for their return to Earth. The Luminari, now that their true purpose had been revealed, were eager to share knowledge and technology that would be crucial in the coming conflict. Dr. Chun was in his element, working tirelessly alongside Luminari scientists to understand and document as much of their advanced technology as possible. "Captain," he reported during one of their daily briefings, "what they're showing us now, it's beyond anything we could have imagined. Quantum communication devices, energy shields that could protect entire cities, weapons that can disrupt the Void Hunter's psychic attacks. Lieutenant Reeves, meanwhile, was focused on strategic planning. She spent hours with Luminari military advisors, learning about the Void Hunter's tactics and discussing potential defense scenarios. Their approach is unlike anything in human military history, she explained to Aria. We're not just talking about superior firepower. These beings can turn our own people against us. We'll need to completely rethink our approach to warfare. As for Aria herself, she found her days filled with diplomatic training. It was a responsibility that weighed heavily on her shoulders. The news you bring will be shocking, potentially terrifying to your people. You must convey the gravity of the situation without inducing panic. Aria nodded, feeling the weight of her role. But I can't help wondering, how will Earth's governments react to learning that an alien race has been influencing our development for thousands of years? Won't that create distrust, maybe even hostility? It is a valid concern, Captain. That is why we must emphasize that our guidance has always been for the benefit of humanity. We have never sought to control, only to nurture and protect. As the days passed, Aria found herself grappling with mixed emotions. The excitement of the scientific and cultural exchange was tempered by the looming threat of the Void Hunters and the enormous responsibility that had been placed on their shoulders. One evening, as she stood on a balcony overlooking the shimmering expanse of Crystallis, Aria was joined by Zephyr, the Luminari who had been their primary liaison since their arrival. You seem troubled, Captain Novak, Zephyr observed, its melodious voice tinged with concern. Aria sighed, her gaze fixed on the alien horizon. I'm just overwhelmed, I suppose. Now we're preparing to tell Earth that the fate of the galaxy rests on our shoulders. Zephyr's scales rippled in what Aria had come to recognize as sympathy. It is a great burden, indeed. The Luminari will stand with humanity in the coming struggle. Aria turned to face her alien companion. Zephyr, there's something I've been wondering. You said that humans have a unique neurological structure that can generate the energy needed to combat the Void Hunters. But how did we develop this ability? Is it just a coincidence of evolution? Zephyr was silent for a moment, its compound eyes seeming to shimmer with an inner light. When it spoke, its voice was softer than usual. Captain Novak, there is more to the story of our involvement with Earth than what the Council revealed. Aria felt a chill run down her spine. Long ago, when we first discovered Earth, we did more than simply guide your development. We enhanced your species. Enhanced? Are you saying you altered our DNA? Zephyr's scales rippled in what might have been discomfort. It was a subtle change, introduced gradually over many generations. Aria felt a mix of emotions, anger, betrayal, but also a grudging understanding. Why wasn't this mentioned in the council meeting? But I believe you deserve to know the full truth, especially given the role you will play in the coming events. So humanity's potential, our very nature, it's all been shaped by your interference? Zephyr moved closer, its voice earnest. No, Captain. As Aria processed this information, a new thought occurred to her. The Void Hunters. Did you enhance us specifically to combat them? Zephyr's tendrils waved in affirmation. That was part of our motivation, yes. We had encountered the Void Hunters before and knew of their weakness. When we found Earth and saw the potential in your species, we hoped to create an ally that could help us stand against this ancient enemy. Aria shook her head, still struggling to come to terms with the implications. How am I supposed to explain this to Earth's leaders? To the public? With honesty and hope, Zephyr replied. Yes, we have influenced your development, but we did so out of a desire to protect and nurture. Now, humanity stands on the brink of joining the galactic community, ready to face a threat that endangers all life. Your people must know the truth, but they must also understand the opportunity before them. As they stood there, looking out over the alien cityscape, Aria realized that her mission had become even more complex. She would not only be introducing Earth to the existence of alien life and a looming galactic threat, but also revealing a hidden truth about humanity's own history and potential. Thank you for telling me this, Zephyr, Aria said finally. When we return to Earth, I'll do my best to present the full truth in a way that emphasizes our shared future rather than our manipulated past. That is all we can ask, Captain. The road ahead will be challenging, but I believe that together, our peoples can face whatever the universe throws at us. As Aria retired to her quarters that night, her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The revelation of the Luminari's genetic meddling added a new layer of complexity to an already daunting mission. But as she drifted off to sleep, she found herself focusing not on the past, but on the future, a future where humanity would take its place among the stars, ready to defend not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Chapter 9. The Journey Home. The day of departure arrived with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The horizon, beyond repair, would remain on Chrysalis as a monument to first contact. Instead, Aria and her crew would be traveling back to Earth aboard a Luminari vessel, accompanied by a delegation of alien scientists and diplomats. As they prepared to board the sleek, crystalline ship that would be their home for the journey, Aria gathered her crew for a final briefing. "I know we're all feeling a range of emotions right now," she began, looking at each of her team members in turn. "What we've learned here on Chrysalis, what we're about to undertake, it's beyond anything we were trained for. But I want you all to remember why we became explorers in the first place. We sought to push the boundaries of human knowledge, to forge connections with the unknown." Dr. Chun nodded enthusiastically. "Captain's right. Yes, the circumstances are daunting, but think of the scientific advancements we'll be bringing back to Earth. This could usher in a new age of human development." Lieutenant Reeves, ever the pragmatist, added, "And let's not forget the threat we're facing. Earth needs to be prepared, and we're the ones who can make that happen." Aria smiled at her team's resolve. "Exactly. We're not just explorers anymore. We're ambassadors, guardians, and maybe even the key to humanity's survival." As they settled into their quarters, marveling at the advanced technology surrounding them, Aria couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. They were about to embark on a faster-than-light journey across the stars, a feat that had been purely science fiction when they left Earth. The journey itself was a marvel. The Luminari ship traveled through space in a way that defied human understanding of physics. Stars streaked by in brilliant flashes, yet there was no sensation of movement within the ship. Time seemed to bend and flex, with the weeks-long journey feeling both instantaneous and eternal. During the trip, the humans and Luminari continued their cultural and scientific exchange. Dr. Chun worked tirelessly with the alien scientists, documenting as much of their advanced knowledge as possible. Lieutenant Reeves focused on understanding Luminari defensive technologies and strategies, preparing detailed reports for Earth's military leaders. Aria, meanwhile, spent much of her time with the Luminari diplomats, refining their approach for first contact with Earth's governments. They crafted careful messages, anticipating questions and concerns, and preparing for various scenarios. As they neared the solar system, Aria felt a growing sense of anticipation and nervousness. How would Earth react to their return? To the news they brought? The fate of two worlds, perhaps the entire galaxy, would hinge on the coming interactions. "Captain Novak," called Zephyr as they entered the outskirts of the solar system, "we're preparing to send the first transmission to Earth. Are you ready?" Aria took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. "As ready as I'll ever be. Let's make history." As the Luminari ship decelerated, entering into orbit around Earth, Aria stepped up to the communication console. The familiar blue marble of her home planet filled the view screen, beautiful and fragile in the vastness of space. With a nod from Zephyr, Aria began the transmission that would change the course of human history forever. "This is Captain Aria Novak of the Earth ship Horizon, returning from Proxima Centauri. We come bearing news of critical importance to the future of humanity. We are not alone." As the message was sent, Aria knew that the Real challenge was just beginning. The next few days would determine the future of Earth's relationship with the Luminari, its preparedness for the coming threat, and perhaps the very fate of the galaxy itself. The crew of the Horizon had set out as explorers and were returning as harbingers of a new age for humanity. As they awaited Earth's response, Aria silently vowed to do whatever it took to ensure that her world was ready for the monumental changes and challenges that lay ahead. Chapter 10. Earth's Reaction. The response from Earth was almost immediate, but the content of the messages reflected a world thrown into chaos by their transmission. Government agencies, military commands, and scientific institutions all clamored for information. Their messages a mix of excitement, disbelief, and thinly veiled panic. Aria and the Luminari delegation spent the next 48 hours in continuous communication with Earth's leaders, providing preliminary information and assurances while arranging for a secure landing site. As the Luminari ship began its descent through Earth's atmosphere, Aria felt a surreal mix of homecoming joy and apprehension. The familiar landscapes of her home planet came into view, a stark contrast to the alien world they had left behind. "Remember," she said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "What happens in the next few hours will shape the future of human-Luminari relations and Earth's preparedness for the coming threat. Stay calm, be honest, and emphasize our shared goals." With a deep breath, Aria led the procession down the ramp and onto Earth's soil. A tall, distinguished man in a suit stepped forward. "Captain Novak, I'm Secretary General Chun of the United Nations. We have much to discuss." Aria nodded, gesturing to the Luminari beside her. What followed was a whirlwind of introductions, preliminary briefings, and barely contained excitement from the Earth delegation. As they were led to a hastily prepared conference room, Aria could hear the murmur of voices, catching snippets of conversation. "Can't believe it's real. What do they want from us?" The next several hours were intense. Aria, her crew, and the Luminari delegates took turns explaining their encounter, the history of Luminari involvement with Earth, and the looming threat of the Void Hunters. They presented evidence, scientific data, video recordings, and demonstrations of Luminari technology that left the Earth officials stunned. Some officials were excited about the potential advancements Luminari technology could bring. Others were deeply concerned about the idea that an alien race had been influencing human development for millennia. "How can we trust them?" demanded one military general. "For all we know, this Void Hunter threat could be a fabrication to manipulate us into compliance. With all due respect, General, I've seen the evidence with my own eyes. The threat is real, and it's coming whether we're prepared or not." Dr. Chun, barely able to contain his excitement, added, "The scientific advancements alone are staggering. The Luminari are offering us knowledge that could solve some of our most pressing problems: clean energy, disease, environmental degradation." As the discussions continued, it became clear that Earth's response would not be unanimous. Some nations were eager to embrace the Luminari and their offerings, while others remained suspicious and isolationist. After hours of intense debate, Secretary General Chun called for a recess. "We need time to digest this information and consult with our respective governments," he announced. "Captain Novak, Ambassador Zephyr, will reconvene in 24 hours to discuss next steps." As the Earth delegation filed out, many still in a state of shock, Aria turned to Zephyr. "Well, that could have gone worse," she said with a wry smile. Zephyr's tendrils waved in what Aria had come to recognize as agreement. "Indeed, Captain. Now we must nurture them and hope they grow into a strong alliance." As they were escorted to their temporary quarters, Aria couldn't help but feel the weight of history on her shoulders. The next few days would be crucial in determining Earth's response to this new reality. Would humanity rise to the challenge, embracing its role in the galactic community? Or would fear and suspicion drive a wedge between Earth and its potential alien allies? One thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The universe had become a much larger, more wondrous, and more dangerous place. And humanity was about to take its first tentative steps into this new cosmic arena. Chapter 11. Humanity's Choice. The next 24 hours were a frenzy of activity. News of the alien contact had leaked to the public, sending shockwaves around the globe. Social media exploded with speculation, conspiracy theories, and both fear and excitement. Religious leaders called emergency conclaves to discuss the theological implications of extraterrestrial life. Stock markets fluctuated wildly as investors tried to anticipate the economic impact of alien technology. Aria and her crew found themselves at the center of a media storm. They gave carefully controlled interviews, trying to balance transparency with the need for caution. Dr. Chun enthusiastically discussed the scientific implications, while Lieutenant Reeves focused on reassuring the public about security concerns. When the world leaders reconvened, the atmosphere was tense but determined. Secretary General Chun opened the session with a grave announcement. After intense deliberation and consultation with governments around the world, we have come to a decision. The evidence presented by Captain Novak and the Luminari delegates is too compelling to ignore. We believe that the threat posed by these void hunters is real, and that Earth must prepare. A ripple of murmurs went through the room. Aria felt a mix of relief and apprehension. This was just the beginning. However, the Secretary General continued, "We have concerns about the extent of Luminari influence on human development. We propose a phased approach to our alliance and technology exchange, with careful oversight and transparency." Ambassador Zephyr stepped forward, its scales shimmering with what Aria had come to recognize as earnest sincerity. "We understand your caution, and we respect it. The Luminari are prepared to work within whatever framework makes humanity most comfortable. Our goal is partnership, not dominance." What followed was a marathon negotiation session. Earth's leaders, the Luminari delegation, and Aria's team worked tirelessly to hammer out the details of humanity's new role in the galactic community. Key points of the agreement included a gradual introduction of Luminari technology, focusing first on defensive systems and clean energy solutions, the establishment of a joint Human-Luminari Scientific Council to oversee technology exchange and research, a program to identify and train humans with heightened psychic potential to combat the void hunters, the creation of a global defense initiative to coordinate Earth's preparations for the coming threat, regular public disclosures to keep Earth's population informed and involved in the process. As the final documents were signed, Aria felt a wave of emotion wash over her. They had done it. Earth was taking its first official steps into a larger universe. Secretary General Chun turned to address the room. "Today marks a new chapter in human history. We face great challenges but also incredible opportunities. Together with our new allies, we will forge a path to the stars and stand against the darkness that threatens us all." In the days and weeks that followed, the world transformed at a dizzying pace. Luminari delegates were dispatched to major cities around the globe, working with local scientists and leaders to implement the first phases of the technology exchange. Dr. Chun found himself leading an international team of scientists, working to understand and adapt Luminari technology for human use. Lieutenant Reeves was appointed as a key liaison between Earth's military forces and the Luminari strategic advisors, helping to develop new defense doctrines. Aria, recognized as the face of this new era of human-alien cooperation, found herself in a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, public appearances, and strategy sessions. She became a symbol of hope and a bridge between two worlds, her steady leadership helping to calm fears and inspire cooperation. As the months passed, the changes became more visible. Luminari-inspired technology began to reshape Earth's infrastructure. Clean energy solutions eliminated the need for fossil fuels, dramatically reducing pollution and slowing climate change. Medical advancements cured diseases once thought incurable. The first prototypes of global defense shields were tested, providing a sense of security as humanity prepared for the coming threat. But not everything was smooth sailing. Resistance movements sprang up, fueled by fear of alien influence and distrust of rapid change. Conspiracy theories abounded, some claiming that the void hunters were a hoax created to justify alien control of Earth. Aria and her team worked tirelessly to address these concerns, emphasizing transparency and the shared goals of human and Luminari alike. 1 year after the initial contact, Aria stood on a stage before the United Nations General Assembly, preparing to deliver a speech that would be broadcast around the world. As she looked out at the sea of faces, human and Luminari alike, She felt the weight of history on her shoulders. 1 year ago, she began, her voice steady and clear, I stood on an alien world, marveling at wonders beyond human imagination. Today, I stand before you as a citizen of not just Earth, but of a vast and complex galactic community. We have learned much in this past year about the universe, about our new allies, and about ourselves. She paused, letting her words sink in before continuing. We have faced challenges and skepticism, fear and doubt, but we have also witnessed incredible acts of cooperation, innovation, and hope. The technology shared by the Luminari has already begun to solve some of our most pressing global issues. Our scientists work side by side with alien counterparts, pushing the boundaries of knowledge further than we ever thought possible. Aria's voice grew more passionate as she continued. But we cannot forget the reason for this great leap forward. A threat looms on the horizon, the Void Hunters, an enemy that would consume not just our world, but countless others. We must continue to prepare, to strengthen our defenses, and to unlock the potential within ourselves to stand against this darkness. She looked directly into the cameras, her gaze intense and determined. To those who still doubt, who fear change or alien influence, I say this: look around you. See the cleaner air, the cured diseases, the new opportunities that have arisen. The Luminari have not come to conquer or control, but to elevate and protect. They have placed their trust in humanity, believing that together, we can face a threat that neither of us could overcome alone. Aria's voice softened slightly, becoming more personal. I have looked into compound eyes and seen intelligence, compassion, and hope reflected back. I have witnessed wonders that have expanded my understanding of what is possible. And I can tell you with absolute certainty that we are not alone in this vast universe. But more importantly, we are not alone in our struggle to preserve life and beauty in the face of darkness. She straightened, her voice ringing with conviction for her final words. We can cling to fear and isolation, or we can embrace this new chapter in our history. We can turn inward, or we can look to the stars with hope and determination. I choose to move forward, to stand with our allies against whatever challenges the universe may bring. I choose to believe in the potential of humanity to rise above our differences and become something greater than we ever imagined. I ask you all to make that choice with me, for our world, for our future, for all life in this galaxy. Let us move forward together. The response was echoed around the world as millions watched the broadcast, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and unity. In the days that followed, public opinion shifted dramatically. Volunteer rates for the Global Defense Initiative soared. Collaborative projects between humans and Luminari multiplied. A new sense of global unity emerged as humanity began to see itself as part of a larger galactic community. As Aria watched these developments unfold, she felt a mix of pride and trepidation. They had taken the first crucial steps towards preparing for the coming threat, but the real challenges still lay ahead. The Void Hunters were drawing nearer with each passing day, and Earth would need every advantage it could muster to stand against them. But looking at the incredible progress made in just 1 year, Aria allowed herself to feel hope. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before and survived. Now, with advanced technology and alien allies at their side, perhaps they stood a real chance of not just surviving, but thriving in this new cosmic age. As she turned her gaze to the stars, visible even in the daytime thanks to new atmospheric clarification technology, Aria silently renewed her vow. Whatever came next, she would be ready. Earth would be ready. Chapter 12. The Final Countdown. For years had passed since Aria's speech to the United Nations, and Earth had transformed almost beyond recognition. The skylines of major cities now featured sleek Luminari-inspired architecture, their spires reaching towards the stars. Aria stood in the command center of Earth's primary defense hub, a massive complex built into the side of a mountain range. Holographic displays showed the status of defense systems around the globe, as well as the positions of the joint human-Luminari fleet that now patrolled the solar system. "Status report," Aria called out, her voice carrying the weight of authority she had grown into over the years. "Dr. Chun, Now the head of the Global Scientific Council stepped forward. We're now capable of withstanding energy outputs 50 times greater than our initial estimates of Void Hunter weaponry. Lieutenant Reeves, who had become the commander of Earth's new Space Defense Force, added her report. Our fleet exercises with the Luminari have shown significant improvement. The human pilots are adapting well to the psychic amplification technology. We're as ready as we can be, given the circumstances. Aria nodded, a mix of pride and concern in her eyes. And the early warning system? Zephyr, who had remained on Earth as the primary Luminari ambassador, answered this question. We should have advance notice of at least 72 of your Earth hours before the Void Hunters enter the solar system. Red lights flashed as the holographic displays shifted, showing a massive disturbance at the edge of the solar system. Report! Aria shouted, her heart racing. Size and energy signatures matched the Luminari descriptions of Void Hunter vessels. Estimated time to Earth orbit, 68 hours. The room fell silent for a moment as the weight of the situation sank in. This was it. The moment they had been preparing for over the last 5 years had finally arrived. Aria took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. When she spoke, her voice was calm and determined. Initiate Global Defense Protocol Alpha. Alert all nations and bring planetary shields to full power. Dr. Chun, begin powering up the psychic amplification network. Ambassador Zephyr, please inform the Luminari High Command that we request immediate reinforcement. As the command center burst into action, Aria turned to face the main view screen. The image showed the approaching Void Hunter fleet, massive, world-sized ships that seemed to devour the very light around them. But we are not facing it alone. We stand united, humanity and Luminari, Earth and Crystallis. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Every world, every species, every hope for a future free from the hunger of the void. We are the line drawn in the stars. We are the force that will push back the darkness. A cheer went up from the command center, echoed in stations and ships around the world and beyond. As the final preparations for battle began, Aria felt a strange calm settle over her. Whatever the outcome, she knew that humanity had already achieved something remarkable. They had reached for the stars and found not only wonders but also the strength within themselves to face the greatest threat the galaxy had ever known. The final countdown had begun. In less than 3 days, the fate of Earth, of Crystallis, of countless worlds would be decided. As Aria watched the holographic displays light up with the movements of their defensive fleet, she allowed herself a small smile. They were ready, and Aria Novak, once just an explorer and scientist, now stood at the forefront, ready to lead humanity into the cosmic crucible that would determine the fate of all. Chapter 13, The Battle for Earth. The 68 hours leading up to the Void Hunter's arrival were a blur of activity. Earth's population, long prepared for this moment, moved with practiced efficiency. Civilians retreated to underground shelters, while military and scientific personnel took up their designated posts. The planet's surface became a network of defense installations and energy conduits, all feeding into the massive planetary shield. In orbit, the combined human Luminari fleet took up defensive positions. Sleek Luminari ships flew in formation with Earth's newest space vessels, a testament to the cooperation between the two species. At the heart of the fleet was the flagship Unity, a massive vessel that housed the most powerful psychic amplification technology ever created. Aria stood on the bridge of the Unity, surrounded by a mix of human and Luminari crew members. The view screens showed the approaching Void Hunter Armada, a swarm of world-sized ships that seemed to bend space itself around them. All ships report ready, Captain. Commander Reeves announced, her voice steady despite the tension. Aria nodded, her eyes fixed on the enemy fleet. Initiate first phase of Operation Lightbringer. Let's see how they react to our welcome. At her command, hundreds of smaller craft launched from the human Luminari fleet. These unmanned drones, packed with Luminari technology and guided by Earth's most advanced AI, swarmed towards the Void Hunters. As they approached, they began emitting complex patterns of energy, the result of years of research into the Void Hunter's psychic vulnerabilities. For a moment, it seemed to work. The foremost Void Hunter ships slowed, their formations wavering. But then, with a surge of dark energy, they lashed out. Beams of what looked like liquid darkness speared through space, obliterating scores of drones. Phase 1 impact nominal. Dr. Chun reported from his station. We've confirmed vulnerability to the psychic interference, but their adaptation rate is faster than we anticipated. Aria's jaw tightened. Initiate Phase 2. All ships, prepare to engage. The real battle began in earnest. The Unity led the charge, its massive psychic amplifiers powering up. Around the ship, human pilots with latent psychic abilities linked their minds with Luminari co-pilots, creating a telepathic battle network that allowed for split-second coordination. The void of space lit up with energy weapons, psychic blasts, and the eerie, light-absorbing weapons of the Void Hunters. Ships on both sides were hit, some exploding in brilliant flashes, others simply ceasing to exist as the Void Hunters' weapons erased them from reality. On Earth's surface, the planetary shield flared as it absorbed tremendous amounts of energy. In hidden bunkers around the globe, teams of humans with the strongest psychic potential, trained by Luminari mentors, focused their amplified abilities to reinforce the planet's defenses. Hours passed and the battle raged on. The human Luminari fleet fought valiantly, their advanced technology and psychic abilities allowing them to hold their own against the numerically superior Void Hunters. But slowly, inevitably, they were being pushed back towards Earth. "Captain," Dr. Chun called out, his voice urgent. "I'm detecting a power buildup in the lead Void Hunter ship. It's like nothing we've ever seen before." Aria's blood ran cold as she saw the readings. The enemy flagship was gathering an enormous amount of energy, enough to potentially break through Earth's shields and devastate the planet. "All ships, focus fire on the lead Void Hunter vessel. We have to disrupt that energy buildup." As the situation grew desperate, Zephyr approached Aria, its tendrils waving in an urgent pattern. "Captain, there may be a way, but it's extremely risky." Aria hesitated for only a moment. The risk was enormous. Such an overload could fry the minds of everyone involved, including her own. "Do it," she ordered, strapping herself into the central amplification chair. Around her, human and Luminari crew members linked hands, forming a circle of telepathic energy. As the Void Hunter flagship prepared to fire its planet-killing weapon, Aria felt the incredible surge of psychic energy course through her. Through the telepathic link, she could feel the minds of her crew, of the Luminari, all focused on a single purpose. With a thought that felt like it could shatter stars, Aria directed the combined psychic energy of the Unity towards the Void Hunter ship. A beam of pure white light lanced out, connecting with the dark energy gathering at the enemy's bow. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the two forces struggled against each other. Then, with a silent explosion that rippled through subspace, the Void Hunter weapon collapsed in on itself. The massive enemy ship buckled, great rents appearing in its hull as the backflow of energy tore it apart. As it disintegrated, a psychic shockwave rolled out across the battlefield. The remaining Void Hunters reeled, their psychic network disrupted. "All ships, press the advantage." Aria managed to call out, her voice weak but triumphant. "Drive them back." The human Luminari fleet surged forward, their weapons tearing into the suddenly vulnerable Void Hunter ships. On Earth, the psychic defense teams redoubled their efforts, creating barriers of pure mental energy that the enemy could not penetrate. As the battle turned decisively in their favor, Aria allowed herself a moment of hope. They had done it. Humanity, standing alongside their Luminari allies, had faced the greatest threat in galactic history, and they were winning. The war was far from over, but in this moment, as the Void Hunters retreated from Earth's solar system, Aria knew that they had achieved something miraculous. They had proven that unity, courage, and the indomitable spirit of life could stand against even the darkest forces of the cosmos. As cheers erupted across the fleet and on Earth below, Aria smiled, exhausted but filled with pride. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she knew that together, they would face them. The future of the galaxy looked brighter than ever before. Epilogue: A New Dawn. 5 years after the Battle of Earth, Aria stood on the observation deck of Harmony Station, a massive space habitat orbiting between Earth and Mars. The station served as the headquarters for the newly formed Galactic Defense Alliance, a coalition of species united in the ongoing effort to protect the galaxy from threats like the Void Hunters. As she gazed out at the stars, Aria reflected on how much had changed. Earth had taken its place as a major player in galactic politics, its unique blend of innovation, adaptability, and psychic potential making it a valued member of the interstellar community. The partnership with the Luminari had flourished, leading to unprecedented advancements in technology, science, and cultural exchange. Dr. Chen's voice interrupted her reverie. "Captain, or should I say Admiral Novak, the delegates are ready for you." Aria smiled at her old friend. "Just Aria is fine, Elias. We've been through too much together for titles." She turned from the viewport and followed Dr. Chen to the Grand Conference Hall. As they walked, holographic displays showed scenes from across the galaxy. New colonies being established on distant worlds, joint scientific expeditions probing the mysteries of the universe, and defense fleets patrolling the borders of known space. The conference hall was a marvel of architecture, its transparent dome offering a panoramic view of Earth and the star-studded expanse beyond. As Aria entered, she was greeted by a diverse assembly of beings from across the galaxy. Luminari delegates stood alongside representatives from a dozen other species that had joined the Alliance in the wake of the Void Hunter threat. At the center of the room stood a familiar figure, Zephyr, now the High Ambassador of the Luminari to the Galactic Defense Alliance. Its scales shimmered with a new pattern that Aria had come to recognize as a sign of great honor among its people. "Friends, allies, fellow sentients," Aria began, her voice carrying easily through the hall. 5 years ago, we faced a threat that could have ended all life as we know it. We stood on the brink of annihilation, but we did not falter. Together, we pushed back the darkness and showed the universe the true strength of unity. She paused, looking around the room at the assembled delegates. The Void Hunters were driven back, but they were not destroyed. We know they are still out there, regrouping, perhaps evolving. But we are not the same as we were 5 years ago. We are stronger, wiser, more united than ever before. Holographic displays activated around the room, showing the latest defense systems, newly discovered psychic techniques, and plans for expanding the Alliance's influence to more distant sectors of the galaxy. Today, we gather not just to reflect on our past victories, but to plan for our future. The Galactic Defense Alliance has grown beyond our wildest dreams. Species that were once isolated or even in conflict with each other now work side by side, sharing knowledge, resources, and a common purpose. Aria's voice grew passionate as she continued. "But our work is far from over. Yes, we must remain vigilant against the return of the Void Hunters. But we must also look beyond that threat. Our alliance has the potential to usher in an unprecedented era of peace, discovery, and growth for all sentient life." She gestured to the stars visible through the dome above. "There are still countless mysteries out there waiting to be unraveled, civilizations yet to be discovered, wonders beyond our imagination, and yes, perhaps new threats that we cannot yet foresee. But whatever the universe holds in store for us, I know that together, we will be ready." As Aria concluded her speech, the hall erupted in a chorus of approval, from the thunderous applause of the human delegates to the melodic trills of the Luminari and the various sounds of agreement from the other alien species. In the days that followed, new initiatives were launched. Exploration fleets were commissioned to push deeper into uncharted space. Research grants were approved for projects ranging from psychic healing techniques to zero-point energy extraction. And perhaps most importantly, cultural exchange programs were expanded, fostering understanding and friendship between the diverse species of the Alliance. As the conference drew to a close, Aria found herself once again on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars. Zephyr joined her, its tendrils waving in a pattern of contentment. "You have come a long way, Aria Novak," the Luminari ambassador said softly. From a crashed explorer on an alien world to the leader of a galactic alliance. We've all come a long way, Zephyr, and we've got even further to go. As they stood there, human and Luminari side by side, a brilliant light streaked across the starfield, the launch of the Alliance's newest exploration vessel, embarking on a mission to a distant, uncharted sector of the galaxy. Aria felt a surge of excitement and hope. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, bound by the unbreakable bonds of friendship, mutual respect, and a shared vision for a brighter future. As the exploration ship disappeared into the depths of space, Aria made a silent vow. She would continue to lead, to explore, to push the boundaries of what was possible. For Earth, for the Luminari, for all the species of the Alliance, and for the countless civilizations yet to be discovered. The Void Hunters had been the crucible that forged this new era of galactic cooperation. But it was the indomitable spirit of life itself, the shared desire to grow, to learn, to connect, that would propel them forward into the unknown. With a heart full of wonder and a mind open to infinite possibilities, Aria Novak turned her gaze to the stars, ready for whatever adventures the cosmic future might hold. The end.
Subscribe for more.